And do you recall whether or not the driver of the black vehicle left his car door open? Do you recall?
No.
Okay. And anything, if I ask you if you don't know?
Yeah,
right.
I wasn't paying attention to the car.
And do you recall whether or not the police officer had left his door open? Do you recall?
No.
No.
I don't recall.
And so what are you focusing on?
Focusing on him running with the gun and trying to visualize and remember as much as I can.
Okay. And so when the driver of the black car that you described with the gun in his hand, do you recall which hand he had it in?
Both.
Okay. And when you say both, you just...
He had him like crouched down like this.
Okay. And obviously you raised it to show us, so I
yeah,
can see.
But I don't know if it was left-handed or right-handed, but both hands were on the gun.
Okay. And the gun was crouched where? When you say crouched?
It was facing down, and so he was running kind of like crouched. So I guess just running with it straight forward.
Okay. So the gun was facing the ground. Is that fair to say, with his arms kind of straight?
Yeah.
All right. And so when the driver of the black car, got to the police car, how many shots did you hear?
2.
Okay. And where were you and your mom, the location of your vehicle, when you heard those 2 shots?
Basically parallel.
Okay.
So a little bit in front, because when he turned around, we made eye contact and we were parallel.
Okay. And when you say parallel, you're on the northbound lanes of Santa Rosa? Is that fair to say?
Yes, the opposite direction of the cop car.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been introduced into evidence as State's Exhibit number 34. Looking at this photograph that's been introduced into evidence, and now you can see the police car, the back of the police cruiser or the patrol car in this picture. Is that correct? Okay. And obviously you can see, and this picture has, at the time the picture is taken, after the officer had been shot, there's now a red car in this photograph. Can you see that, Ms. Patterson?
Yep.
Okay. Was that red car there when you were, when the black car pulled up?
No.
So you, looking at this picture, are you able to see and show the jury where you were when you saw the man run up to the police officer's vehicle, where you and your mom's car was when you observed that?
Yes. So
and you can mark on that. I think there's an ability to. You can make a mark on that or something. There you go. Okay. And so you indicated with a red line. What does that red line indicate?
That's the direction that we're going, and it's going that way. So across from the median, going left.
Okay. And looking at that photograph, State's Exhibit number 34, was there anything obstructing your view as you're watching the man with a gun run towards the police officer's car?
No.
There's a tree in the picture. Did that obstruct your view in any way?
No.
Okay. You're seated in the passenger seat, correct? You're not driving.
Correct.
So what are you focusing on? You're not focusing on driving, right?
Right.
Okay. What are you focusing on?
Mainly just focusing on the man that ran up to the cop car, because at that point, when we were taking the left on the way to the turn, he was already out of the car running up. So when he had shot and turned around, we were parallel, so we had already at that point made eye contact. So I was completely looking forward because my mom was struggling to make that turn with another bus on the other side, because she was just saying she's freaking out trying to drive and wasn't paying as much attention, and I was leaned over trying to look and get as much information as I could.
Okay. And you told the jury just now, you said, I was paying attention or focusing on the scene, right? What's happening at the police officer vehicle. And you said when we made eye contact. Who is the we? Who are you referring to when you said we made eye contact?
Me and the man that shot the officer.
Okay.
And I I can't remember, if, like I said, if there was like a hoodie or if there was facial hair, but I definitely remember his eyes.
Okay. And so after the, so you see that, you see the man, you hear and see, right, the two shots?
Yes.
Okay. And then where does the man who shot the officer, where does he go next?
He sprints back to his car.
Okay. And so you testified you had seen the officer sitting in his vehicle before the man approached. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you said, what did the officer appear? I mean, did he appear to see the man who approached him?
No, not at all. Like I said, I didn't know if he was texting or if he was writing a ticket or if the ticket was already done and he was doing something else, but the entire time his head was down. And so that's why when we were taking the left and I saw the man get out with the gun, I started panicking and like, what the fuck is he doing? Because I didn't know if we should honk, but then I thought maybe if he looked up that wouldn't be helpful. So he wasn't paying attention.
When you say he, you're saying
the officer wasn't paying attention.
Okay. And so after the two shots are fired by the man who had come out of the black car, what did you observe next in terms of what that man did?
After the shots were fired, he turned, and I believe it's counterclockwise, and that's when we made eye contact, and then he ran back to his car, and that's when I told my mom to floor it, because obviously we were parallel with somebody that had just shot somebody.
Right, okay. And so then you and your mother then sped up and took off?
Yes, she sped up, and then I was paying attention at that point once he had gotten into his car, what that car looked like. Just trying to get as much information again as I could to be helpful. And I was just telling her he sped off, turn around.
Okay. And so you said you were paying attention to the car. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you give us a description of the car?
Yes. It was a black car. I couldn't get the make or the model, but it was a black car. It had dark tint, and then I noticed that it had probably like maybe 18 to like 20-inch rims, and it had chrome detail throughout the car. So also on the wheels, on the front, and then on the siding. So. And
when you say wheels, for someone who's not a car specialist or a wheel enthusiast, so to speak, are you referring to the tires?
The rims.
Or to the rims?
The rims. So the rims were black with chrome detail.
Okay. And detail means what? I
guess I'm just typically used to seeing either all chrome rims or all black rims, and it was black with some chrome flashing on it.
Okay.
I can't give specifics.
Okay, no, I mean, I think that's specific. It's what you remember, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so you said your mom took off, you were looking at the car. Did you see where the black car went?
It passed the cop car, and that's when, after it was farther, or once I saw it leaving, that's when I turned to my mom and I was starting to call the cops and trying to tell her to make a U-turn, so I didn't see where the car went from there.
Okay. You said that just now that you, as your mom sped off, the car took off the opposite direction. Is that right? From the direction you and your mother were traveling?
Yes.
You said you called the cops. Do you recall making the 911 call?
No.
I mean, you remember calling?
Yes, but I don't remember what was said.
What was said, okay.
No.
I'd like to play your call that's been introduced into evidence. Your Honor, may I publish your call?
Yes.
Just make sure you let her finish her question completely before you talk. Okay.
We can
555. Give me 1 second. And how long was it? And it happened just now, right? Yeah, just now. What was your name? Alexander. And where is he headed? Is he having to window headed? He's now heading, is it south or what? South. South on Taylor, but you're at the fencing right now. Give me 1 second, okay? Is he officer already? They're just pulled up. He's pulled up. Okay, what does the man look like? He's, if you go with his credit, he's black. Black, and what is the color of the model of his vehicle? Is it black? Oh, yeah, the costume is the officer there? Okay, speak with him. Is that black? Okay, the cops are here. We're just talking about. All right, okay, bye-bye.
Ms. Patterson, that's your voice on the 911 tape we just played?
Yes.
Okay. When you said the cops are here, where were you calling from, or where had y'all returned to the scene?
Yes.
Okay, and so were you parked in front of police headquarters or in that area, general area when you had called?
Yes.
After hanging up from the police, hanging up from the 911 call, did you get out of your mom's car, your mom's Cadillac?
Yes.
Okay, and where did you go?
I went and stood on the right side, which at the time I didn't know was the police headquarters, but I was standing in front of the big building.
Okay, and what were y'all waiting for?
My mom just told me not to go over there, so I just stood to the right, and then her and then somebody else, I wasn't sure who it was, went up to the police car, and
I'm going to stop you real quick. So your mom went towards that direction of the police car, and then you stayed by the police headquarters building, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and did you personally go to the officer?
No.
Patrol car, okay. Did an officer come to you, a detective come to you and ask if you had witnessed anything or asked to take your statement?
Yes. And then we went upstairs.
Okay. And when you say we, you and your mother went upstairs?
And yeah, I'm a detective.
With the detective, okay. And the statements that you and your mother gave to the police, did y'all give them to the police detective separately?
I don't remember.
Okay. What did you say?
I do not remember.
Okay, no. All right. During the statement that you gave to the police detective, immediately afterwards, do you recall if the detective asked you if you would recognize the person who shot the officer?
Yes.
Okay. And you recall him asking you that?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your answer?
Yes.
All right, stay.
Thank you, Judge. So, Ms. Patterson, we left off on your statement. And do you have a copy of your statement in front of you?
No.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a copy of a document. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Okay, and what is this document?
My statement.
Okay, and so it's 2 pages, is that correct? Your signature is on both pages, but the actual statement is 1 page.
Correct.
Okay, and your signature, you said, is on both pages?
Yes.
Okay. And you gave this statement at what date and time, please?
On November 20th, 2016.
Okay, and can you tell the jury what time you gave your statement?
It doesn't say on here.
Do you see it next? It says date and time.
Oh, 12:15.
Okay, so that's 12:15 p.m.
Yes.
So you're giving this statement, if the officer was shot at 11:38 a.m., you're giving this statement within 45 minutes of having just viewed the shooting of the police officer. Is that correct?
Yes.
So in your statement, if I can keep it here, you say that when the detective asked you if you would recognize the person who shot the officer, your response was what, please?
Yes.
Okay, that you would, right? Yes, I would, or I would.
Yes.
Okay. And did they, at that time, within 45 minutes of the shooting, when you're giving your statement at the time, were you shown any photo lineups or anything?
No.
Okay. Did you know if a suspect had even been arrested at this point?
No.
Okay. Was there a time then after November 20th of 2016 that you saw a photo of the suspect on the news?
No.
Okay. Tell us then. Did you see a photo of the?
I did the following day.
Okay. So the following day, meaning November 21st. So when you said no, you're saying no to having seen it on November 20th of 2016.
Correct.
Okay. So the following day then would be Monday, November 21st of 2016?
Yes.
And what did you see on the news?
That they were looking for the suspect and they showed a picture of him in his car.
Okay. And they showed a picture of him and his car. Is that correct? Okay. And you're not saying they showed a picture of him in his car?
No. It was like a vague, blurry picture of a black car.
Okay. And then a separate picture of the suspect?
Correct.
Okay. And do you know where the picture of the suspect, where it was taken from?
No.
Meaning like where the suspect was?
No.
Okay. And so do you remember when it was on November 21st, 2016 that you saw it? Like at what time of day?
That was my first day at my new job, so it was probably around lunch because it's pretty busy throughout the day.
Okay. So midday or so on the 21st?
Mm-hmm.
And tell the jury then, when you saw the picture of the individual, had the individual been arrested yet?
No.
Okay.
Not that I knew of.
Not that you knew of. Okay. And so tell the jury then, when you saw the picture of the individual on the news, what went through your mind, or what was your reaction?
There was zero hesitation because, like I said, I just saw his eyes and I knew immediately that was him.
Okay. And what were you said you knew immediately? How did you know?
Because I remember his eyes. It just kind of burned in my brain from that point on.
Okay.
So I just knew.
Okay. And you're seeing this picture the very next day, is that right? I mean, almost, probably 24 hours later, right? If the shooting happened at 11:38 a.m. and somewhere around the lunch hour the next day?
Yes.
And how certain were you when you saw that picture that same picture is the person you saw shoot the police officer?
100%.
Okay. Do you see the individual in the courtroom today that you saw shoot the San Antonio police officer on November 20th of 2016?
Yes.
Okay. If you would you please point to him and describe what he's wearing?
White shirt, black slacks, and a grayish black tie.
Okay. And where is he seated at the council table next to you?
To the far left.
And for the record, you've identified the defendant, Otis McKane.
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time I'll pass the.
Ms. Patterson?
Yes.
Oh, my name's Raymond Otis. I represent Otis McKane. And when you saw, oh, I'm sorry, usually I'm accused of talking too loud. When you saw this picture posted on the television by the police department, they put it out so people could look for this person. You knew at the time that you were looking at a person that the police said is the suspect.
Well, obviously that's what I was seeing, but I also knew for sure.
Well, it may be obvious to some. I want to make sure it's obvious to everyone that you knew that the person you were looking at, you were being told by the police, this is the suspect.
They were telling the world that was the suspect. I looked at it and saw the person that I saw the day before.
I understand, but you knew that the picture we were looking at was, they said this is the suspect.
Correct.
Okay, I have no other questions. Thank you.
I have nothing else either. Thank you, Ms. Patterson.
Okay.
You can leave the document there up on the ledge for the court reporter on top. Thank you, ma'am. Are you okay? Everybody on the jury okay? All right.
We can ask for a quick batch.
Okay, we'll take a quick back. Just a few minutes.
All right, for the jury. You may be seated.
All right, welcome back, members of the jury. You guys want to put the witness back on the stand? Oh, she was done. All right. State, you can call your next witness.
State called Joseph Hinojosa.
All right, I'm going to swear you out, okay? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll give you a couple of instructions. The microphone does move there, so you're welcome to do that. Make sure everybody can hear you. The lady in front of you is a court reporter. She cannot get more than one voice at a time, so please wait for the question to be asked in its entirety before you respond. Also, if there's an objection from either side, somebody stands up and objects, do not respond until I'll let you know whether you can do so, okay?
Understood.
All right. State.
Your Honor, maybe we just a point of reference. Can we ask Ms. Ross what the next exhibit number would be?
It is 36. And can you spell your name, please?
First name is Joseph, Joseph. Last name Hinojosa, Hinojosa.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Doing good.
Mr. Hinojosa, can you tell the members of the jury basically where you're employed today?
I work for the city of San Antonio.
Okay. Now, I want to take you back to November. Well, I want to take you back to 2016. Okay. In 2016, where were you working at the time?
Rent-A-Tire.
Okay. And what was your position at Rent-A-Tire?
I was the assistant manager.
And which Rent-A-Tire location were you at?
The Bandera location, store 12.
Okay. Now, as part of the as part of your duties as the assistant manager at Rent-A-Tire, beginning in the early part of September of 2016, did you come into contact with an individual by the name of Otis McKane?
I did see him at one of our locations, yes. It's either myself or the manager that would work with the customers at the time.
Okay. And did Rent-A-Tire enter into a commercial transaction with Otis McKane?
That is correct.
Okay. And what was that commercial transaction involved?
He purchased a set of tires and wheels from us.
Okay. And as part of that, did he come in periodically in order to make payments on that purchase?
That is correct.
And do you recall how often he would come in to make payments on that purchase?
It varied, depended. Sometimes he would come in weekly or bi-weekly, depending on whenever the income was there for him.
All right. Now, the person, Otis McKane, who came in and engaged in this commercial transaction with your company, do you see him here in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Right there.
Can you point him out? Can you tell describe to the members of the jury? Can you describe it, like what he's wearing?
Wearing a white long sleeve button-up shirt, tie, glasses.
Okay. And just to make certain, Mr. Hinojosa, if this gentleman is number 1, this gentleman is number 2, number 3, and number 4, which number would Mr. McKane be?
Number 4.
May I approach you?
Yes.
Mr. Hinojosa, let me show you what's been admitted. Well, I offer, Your Honor, under self-proving. I've shown it to the defense lawyers under 903. These business records affidavit have been on file for more than 14 days. They're the business records of
We acknowledge
Rent-A-Tire.
receipt, Your Honor.
Mr. Hinojosa, these are now in evidence. These are the business records of Rent-A-Tire. And did you take a look at these records already?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And can you tell the members of the jury who these records reflect a commercial transaction for?
for Mr. Otis McKane.
Okay. And can you tell from those records, can you tell the members of the jury when you entered into a transaction with Mr. McCain?
9/6 of 2016.
Okay. And what address? And is the name Otis McCain clearly indicated on your business records as the purchaser?
That is correct.
And what is indicated for his address, his street address?
1236 Lombrano.
And do you know how far Lombrano is roughly from 813 Bandera Road?
Not 100% sure, but it's got to be usually within about a 15-mile radius of us.
Okay. Now, looking at those records, can you tell the members of the jury what it was that Otis McCain purchased from you? And let me back up for a second. Did he purchase items from you, or did he rent? I know y'all are called rent-a-tire. Did he rent items from you?
It's a rent-to-own business, so at the time of the contract, there's a rental process until they purchase them fully.
Okay. And what was it that he entered into a rent-to-purchase contract with you for?
On here, it's 4 sets of wheels, which are Veloci Rockets, 4 sets of tires, which are 235 3022s, and a booster pack, which is a battery component for a jump start.
Okay. And can you tell the members of the jury what the purchase price or what would his rental payments have been at the end of it in order for him to own the rims and the tires?
You're asking for the monthly payment or the total?
Well, let's start with the monthly payment.
The monthly payment was $67.10.
Okay. Now, what would the total have been?
That would have been $2,701.92.
Okay.
If he fulfilled the full 52 weeks.
Okay. And in your duties as assistant manager at Rent-A-Tire, do you recall seeing Mr. McCain on more than one occasion?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell the members of the jury, and I'm not asking you exactly, but just roughly, on how many occasions do you think you saw Otis McCain coming in to make payments on this vehicle?
Probably about 8 or more.
Okay. And so when someone enters into a rent-to-purchase agreement with y'all, and you're going to put rims or tires on their vehicle, do you have a bay where they're installed?
That is correct.
Okay. And in order to get the vehicle in there for whatever work you're going to do on it, how does that work? Does the individual, by that I mean the owner of the vehicle, do they take it in themselves, or does somebody from Rent-A-Tire take it in to work on it?
No, only staff members do it for protection of liability, injury, or anything.
Okay, so some staff member from Rent-A-Tire would have to get in physically into Mr. McCain's car to move it into the bay to have work done on it.
That is correct. It's usually the tire technician, the one that's going to be doing the work on the vehicle.
Okay. Can you just look at that and tell the members of the jury what type of vehicle Mr. McCain owned that he had you do the work on?
It's a 2011 Mitsubishi Galant,
Okay.
black.
Okay. And what about, can you tell them what the license plate number for that
Yes,
vehicle would
it's
have been?
HJV 2098.
Just a second.
Your Honor, at this time, State moves to introduce State's Exhibit Number 36, which we've already tendered to the defense counsel.
No objection, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Hinojosa, let me show you State's Exhibit Number 38 and State's Exhibit Number 37. Can you tell us what State's Exhibit 38 and 37 are?
38 is the front photo of a Mitsubishi vehicle, license plate HJV 2898.
Okay, and based on your recitation of what the license plate number was, is that Otis McCain's vehicle?
Based on the documentation, yes, that's correct.
Okay. And State's Exhibit 37, can you tell the members of the jury what that is?
And those are the wheels and tires.
Okay. Now, the rims on that vehicle, and States Exhibit 37. I take it that those are specialized rims?
They're usually specialized per order, or if someone had ordered them, we have them in stock, and it teases their interest, they'll purchase them.
Okay, and at the time, Rent-A-Tire carried, and what was the name of the rims?
The Rockets.
Okay, the Rockets. How many pairs of those rims did Rent-A-Tire have?
Our store only had that one pair.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the other stores.
Okay, so the one pair you had was placed on Otis McKane's vehicle?
That is correct.
And do you notice, I mean, I know you're in the car business, or you were, when you see this vehicle, do you notice those rims and know what they are?
Sometimes you can tell just by the cap on the wheel. It'll say the actual name of the vendor, but I mean it's a distinct wheel that we had in our store for a while.
Do those as part of your practice at Rent-A-Tire, because I imagine sometimes people may not return the merchandise.
That is correct.
Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
So what does the company do in order to make sure that people know that property belongs to Rent-A-Tire?
We imprint the store number and telephone number, sometimes the address on the inside part of the wheels.
Okay.
Or inside of the wheel itself.
Okay. So those rims should have inscribed in them somehow information showing that they're owned by Rent-A-Tire. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Can you see that on the screen in front of you?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe I don't know. Okay, on States Exhibit 36, on page 102 of the rental purchase agreement, do you see the name of Otis McKane?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and do you see his address?
Yes,
And does it show the description of the property that he's buying?
that is correct.
Does it also show the initials OM on that document 2 times, showing that Otis McKane, in fact, agreed to this transaction?
That is correct.
And on page 2 of 2, I guess, of the States Exhibit, can you see down at the bottom of that the signature of Otis McKane?
That is correct.
And once again, on the next page of the agreement, can you see down at the bottom the signature of Otis McKane?
Yes.
Mr. Inosa, okay. Can you see his signatures 2 times?
His initials twice and his signature
I'm
once.
sorry, yes. And it describes the vehicle year, make, and model, a 2011 Mitsubishi Galant, correct?
That is correct.
It has his VIN number,
Yes.
correct? It has the color, which is black.
Yes.
The license plate number, HJB2098, is that correct?
Yes.
And then it's got the date of September 6, 2016.
That is correct.
Going on to the next page of the agreement he entered into on September 6, 2016. Does this further show the signature of Otis McKane 2 more times with the description of the vehicle?
Yes, that is correct.
An additional page. Can you see once again the signature and initials of Otis McKane?
Yes, that is correct.
And up at the top there, do you see the account number, Mr. Hinojosa?
Yes,
Okay, and that would be 11565-442. Is that correct?
that is correct.
And then this sheet contains a lot of information about Mr. McKane. Would you agree with that?
Yes, that is correct.
All right. And, I mean, the jury can take a look at it for themselves because it is now it's now in evidence. But at the bottom, he has his signature and the date, again, is that correct?
Yes,
And then you ask for personal references. Do you see 5 names listed for personal references?
yes, that is correct.
All right. And do you see the number 1 is an individual by the name of Sandra McKane, and he says the relationship is his mother, correct?
That is correct.
All right. Now I want to jump to number 5. Can you read that name? Does it say Kristen?
Yes,
Okay. And he lists that relationship as friend, is that correct?
that is correct.
All right. And he lists the, let's see, I believe he does list her street, but, here it is going on to the next page. Going down to the bottom, again, the same name, number 5, you see where it says Kristen?
Yes,
Okay. And he lists the relationship as like a friend. Do you see that?
that is correct.
His frequency is that he sees that person every day.
Yes,
Okay. And the customer's address is Lombrano. Is that correct?
that is correct.
The same street he lives on.
Yes.
And what's the purpose of having these references? Can you tell the members of the jury that?
The purpose of this is for locating information based on if he were to live or visit the people on the contract to locate the property if he defaults on the contract.
And was it part of the regular business practices of Rent-A-Tire for an employee of Rent-A-Tire to follow up and contact the references that people list?
That is correct.
So if someone were to testify that I received a call from Rent-A-Tire regarding Otis McKane, that would be consistent with the business practices of Rent-A-Tire.
That is correct.
Going on, another part of this business records affidavit, which is now in evidence, can you tell the members of the jury what that is?
The driver's license,
And it's a driver's license of whom?
Otis McKane.
And how is it that this would be contained in the records of Rent-A-Tire?
We obtained copies of all documentation listed on the initial application.
And the person pictured in that Texas driver's license, who's identified in that driver's license as Otis McKane, is that the same individual that you identified earlier?
Yes, sir.
What do you recognize this to be, sir?
That's the Texas Insurance identification card.
Okay, are they required to have liability insurance in order to make purchases from you?
That is correct.
Okay, and can you tell us who is that Texas liability insurance card issued for?
The name of the issuer is Otis McKane.
And going to this document, can you tell the members of the jury how much it was Otis McKane paid on September the 6th, 2016 in order to begin the rent-to-purchase agreement with you?
This is the total amount on here. I think it says $222.
Okay, does it indicate how that was paid? Like cash, credit card, check?
Cash.
And regarding the buyer's tags, can you see that? Can you tell us who was the issuing dealer for this Mitsubishi that Mr. McKane drove?
The issuing dealer, Otis McKane, is the primary
Okay, but under, do you see where it says issuing dealer?
issuing dealer. Chacon Autos,
Okay.
Ltd.
You recognize Chacon Auto to be a dealership here
Yes.
in San Antonio, Bexar County?
That is correct.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Hinojosa, let me show you what's been marked for identification purposes and shown to defense counsel as State's Exhibit number 39. Do you recognize what that is?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us what that is?
That's a black Mitsubishi Galant with our wheels on it.
Okay. And is that the black Mitsubishi Galant with wheels on it that y'all worked on for Otis McKane?
That is correct.
Okay. And let me show you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit number 40. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Can you tell the members of the jury what that is?
That's a picture of Otis McKane.
Okay. Now, these pictures, the picture of the individual picture, State's Exhibit number 40 that you've identified as Otis McKane, and State's Exhibit number 39, a photo of the vehicle that you've identified as Otis McKane's. Can you tell the members of the jury when you first saw these pictures?
The evening of the incident that it occurred.
Okay. When you say the evening of the incident, do you mean the day of the murder of Detective Benjamin
That is
Marconi?
correct.
And as a result of that, well, first of all, let me say, at this point, we'd offer into evidence State's Exhibit number 39 and 40.
No objection.
So admitted?
And we'd also offer into evidence State's Exhibit 37 and 38.
No objection, Your Honor.
They're admitted.
I think you already testified, Mr. Hinojosa, that you saw Otis McKane, I think at a minimum you said of 8 on 8 occasions. Could have been more because how would that generally work? I mean, why would it be that you or other people at Rent-A-Tire would see him?
Based on the amount of times that they wanted to make a payment on their account, most individuals would pay off early so that they wouldn't have to accrue interest.
Now, when Otis McKane came into your business, can you describe for the members of the jury how he would usually come in dressed, or what he would be wearing when he came into Rent-A-Tire?
He would come in wearing a sweater, the black hooded sweater with a zipper or a throw over, Spurs hat, sometimes a solid black hat. It was consistent. He would come in with Spurs jerseys, T-shirts.
What about footwear?
Normally it would match his attire, so he would be wearing either black and white shoes or all black.
Okay. Do you remember the brand of tennis shoes he preferred or would always wear when he went in there?
Black Jordans or black Nikes.
Now, did you ever have any conversations with him when he went into Rent-A-Tire?
That is correct.
Okay. And can you tell the members of the jury what he would talk to you about?
Just generalized stuff about his schooling, college that he was attending, and he was trying out or had just tried out for the D-League, Austin San Antonio or Austin Spurs D-League basketball team.
And he shared this information with you?
Yes.
So, you've already testified that on the night of the murder of Detective Marconi, that you saw these photos, which are now in evidence, depicting Otis McKane and Otis McKane's car.
That is correct.
What did you do, if anything? Did you do anything with that information?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Can you tell the members of the jury what you did?
When I first saw it on the news, I looked over that evening to my wife and I told her, I go, this is an individual that's one of our customers at the store. And then as they started showing the additional photos on there, it was more confirmation just with the vehicle itself.
Okay.
And the following morning, I proceeded to go to work and called.
Okay. When you proceeded to go to work the following morning, you said and called. But how did that work? Tell the jury exactly what happened, please.
The morning that I reported, the following morning I reported to work, I was trying to get through to the Crime Stoppers hotline, but it was constantly busy, so I wasn't able to get through. On one of the occasions, it transferred over my number or to an answering service at the 911 center. And that's when I provided the information upon approval from my manager.
And can you tell the members of the jury what information did you pass on to the 911 operator with regard to Otis McKane and or his vehicle?
Every bit of information I was able to release, driver's license, address, make and model, color of the vehicle, and the individual's name.
And where were you getting all this information from?
The contract and our database.
And do you recall about what time of day that you contacted the 911 system?
I do not recall the time. I'm sorry, I don't.
As a result of you contacting the system, was there any follow-up from the police department?
Immediately after.
And how did that occur?
Several investigators and different law enforcement individuals showed up at our store and questioned us and got all the information and verbal statements.
When you say you use the phrase questioned us, can you tell the members of the jury who else, what other Rent-A-Tire employees besides yourself were questioned by the, or talked to by the San Antonio Police Department?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it was everybody in the store that could have possibly made contact with him, but it was more focused on the our collections individual and the store manager.
And who would the store manager have been?
Justin
Okay, Justin, do you know Justin's last name?
Rodriguez,
Okay. And who would your collections manager have been at the time?
Michael. I don't remember his last name, I'm sorry.
Okay. Could it have been Garcia? Is that-
Possibly.
Okay. So, when the police came and talked to you, did you give them a written statement or did you give them an oral statement? Do you know?
They did not request a written statement. Everything was done audio. They were recording because there were several people in the room.
Let me just check to make sure. I want to make sure I've asked you everything, Mr. Hinojosa. I have no more questions. I thank you for coming in, and the defense might have some questions for you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Hinojosa.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. My name's Juan Perez. We represent Mr. McKane. Now, you said you saw Mr. McKane, I guess from September to November, like 8 times?
Possibly, yes.
Okay. And the times that he came in, would you say his demeanor was friendly?
Yes. Well, we have to present ourselves in a professional manner with the individuals, yes, that come into our store. So yes, we communicated friendly.
Okay, but he was also friendly with you,
Yes.
to the point that he starts discussing where he's either going to school or planning to go to school and stuff like that.
That is correct.
And also that he either had tried out or was going to try out with the D-League this first.
That is correct.
Okay. Was he respectful of you and other employees?
Yes.
The payments, was he being timely on them?
I wouldn't take the payments. That was on our. It was not the collections, our accountant or the manager that would do it. Sometimes I would take it if they weren't available, but yes, he was on time.
And during the time period, you never all exercised any repossession of the property because he was paying appropriately that you know of?
No, sir. We did it.
You did not?
Did not.
Okay, and were you one of the individuals present when Mr. McKane purchased or rented those wheels and tires?
I was there. Yes.
Okay, and were you the one that dealt with him on that?
I didn't deal with him personally. It was probably the manager or the because we have sales guys as well that will try and close out the deal, and then it comes to us. So we do interact with the customers on a finalization process.
Okay. And when he was finalizing the process, you dealt with Mr. McCain?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
No, because then my signature would be on those paperwork.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hinojosa. No further questions, Your Honor.
I just have another question. Mr. Hinojosa, you've already testified to the jury that you saw the pictures of Otis McKane and his car that y'all worked on several times on the evening of November 20th, 2016. Do you remember saying that?
That is correct.
Okay. When you talked to 9/11, do you recall telling them how shortly before that you had a visit from Otis McKane?
It was, I called on Monday. We had seen him, I think it was either Thursday or Friday of that week when we were closing out his account.
Okay. So is it fair to say that this person that you had seen over a period of time from September to November of 2016, the last time you saw this man and his vehicle was 2 to 3 days before the murder of Benjamin Marconi?
That is correct.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, sir, you're excused.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, State, call your next witness.
Is it back to step on? Your Honor, this time the state calls Mike Flores.
But I'm going to swear you in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may adjust the microphone if you need to. There's a lady in front of you taking a record. Make sure that you wait for the questions to be asked in their entirety before you respond.
Yes, sir.
Also, if either side says objection and they stand, don't respond unless I tell you what, and you can do so, okay?
Yes, sir.
If you could introduce yourself to the jury and spell your name for the court reporter, please.
My name is Mike Flores, MikeFlores.
State.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, Mr. Flores.
I do, ma'am.
If you would, please introduce yourself to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury and tell them a little bit about yourself.
My name is Mike Flores. I am a tank gunner in the United States Army.
And how old are you, Mr. Flores?
I'm 33, ma'am.
And how long have you been in the United States Army?
Going on 5 years, ma'am.
And you said your current position is a tank gunner?
Yes, ma'am.
And what does that mean? What does that entail? What is your job in the Army?
I'm a junior NCO as a gunner. I'm in charge of 2 other crewmen in my tank. So pretty much we just take care of our tanks. I'm in charge of shooting the tank whenever we do go shoot.
And back in November, specifically November 20th of 2016, had you joined the United States Army yet?
I just found out my date that when I was leaving.
So on the 20th, November 20th of 2016, you knew you had been accepted into the Army. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you were received the date as to when you were leaving. When you said you're leaving, what does that mean, or where are you going?
I found out the week before that my report date for basic training.
Okay. So are you from San Antonio?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you had been living prior to that time in San Antonio, Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
And then shortly thereafter, after this November 20th date, you were getting ready to leave, to go out of state. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So on November 20th of 2016, in the morning hours, what were you doing that day, or where had you gone?
I just left my house, and I was taking a drive. I was on 35, and I got off on, I believe it's Cesar Chavez. And then I was taking a drive. I took a left on, I think, what is it, Santa Rosa?
Okay.
So I was just taking a drive downtown. I was just driving around because I knew I was gonna leave a few weeks afterwards. So I was just driving around that morning.
Okay. And what were you driving, sir?
2016 Dodge Charger.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I want to show you Mr. Flores, what's been introduced into evidence as State's Exhibit number 31. Looking at State's Exhibit number 31, Mr. Flores, can you see your red Dodge Charger?
Yes, ma'am. It's right behind the police vehicle.
Okay, so directly behind it in this photograph.
Yes, ma'am.
And then also looking at State's Exhibit number this is just a different angle. State's Exhibit 34. Is this the front of your Dodge Charger?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And again, State's Exhibit number 35. It shows more of a overview of the cars, or a larger view of where the vehicles are parked. Do you see your Dodge Charger in State's Exhibit 35?
Yes, ma'am. It's in front of the truck.
Okay, and so it's a kind of a silver car, a black truck, and then your red Charger?
Yes, ma'am.
And your red Charger, and in terms of when these pictures were taken, your red Charger was directly behind the police car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this red Charger that we just saw in these photographs, State's Exhibits 35, 34, and 31. That was the vehicle that you were driving in the morning of November 20th of 2016?
Yes, ma'am.
You said you were taking you had exited 35 at Cesar Chavez and you were taking a left to go north on Santa Rosa?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you recall if there were any vehicles in front of you at the light?
Not that I remember, ma'am. I think it was just my car at that time.
Do you remember specifically? Are you focused on what's in front of you, or?
I mean, when that day, I just remember taking that left. I didn't see any cars
Okay.
next to me or behind or beside me or.
Okay. And what was your attention drawn towards when you were taking a left?
The officer's car was on the left-hand side. That's what kind of caught my attention because I had my windows down. So.
And was it apparent to you that it was in fact a police officer's vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. San Antonio Police Department?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And based on obviously the writing on the cars, or anything else that got your attention about the police vehicle or the police car?
No, it was just you can't miss police car right there on the side of the road, especially the way it was positioned.
Okay. And tell us about that. You said especially the way it was positioned.
How
was it positioned?
So usually from like what I know is he wasn't, how can I say it? When you pull someone over, usually there's usually a car in front and then a cop car in the back. But the person that he had put over, his car was inside. Like it was inside a parking lot.
Okay, so the car that he had pulled over had turned into the driveway of the parking lot? Is that
Yeah.
what you remember?
Yeah. So the car that was I think getting a ticket or what have you was inside the parking lot.
Okay, so just so I understand you, that vehicle then, the one that was, had been pulled over, right? And you described it, how did you describe it in your statement? As what type of vehicle?
I think it was a red or black. I think it was a Pontiac, if I remember.
Some sort of sports car,
Yes,
right?
it was a two door red Pontiac, I think.
Okay, and so you see the vehicle, it's not pulled over directly in front of the officer's car?
No, it was like towards on the side of it, like on the front of it.
And so when you are turning, what is your attention focused on?
So when I was driving, there was a black car right behind the officer's car, and I know that usually officers don't like cars that close to their police vehicles when they're doing a traffic stop. So that was the first thing that kind of caught my attention, and then that's when I saw a man, like kind of I wouldn't say like not hunched, but like kind of crouching.
Okay. So let me stop you right there. You said you saw a vehicle pull up behind the police car? Or
Yes.
was it already?
No, it was already there when I was ready driving.
Okay. So as you're turning and driving north on Santa Rosa, is that when you noticed the black car was already behind the officer's car?
So when I had took a left, that's when I saw the officer's vehicle, and then that's when I saw the car, and that's when I saw the man walking, like not walking, but like the best words to describe is like crouching, like not a. I can't explain it. Like kind of like ducking, like so they couldn't see.
Okay. So when you say the man, what man are you referring to?
The gentleman sitting to my left.
Okay. Well, I guess I meant, but in terms of the scene, what you're seeing at the scene, like you're saying the man was kind of crouching. Where did that man come from?
From his car. So
And when you say his car, will you describe that car for us?
it was a black, like it was a small car, a black car with rims. That's what I remember. I think the rims were chrome. That's what I remember, like the chrome of the rims, and the car was little.
Like when you say a little car, do you recall whether it was 2-door or 4-door?
I think it was a 4-door.
And how far back was that black 4-door car with these rims? Did you, these chrome rims, how far back was the vehicle from the officer's police car? Do you recall?
Not that far where my car was located at.
Tell me what that means, not that far.
So just picture where my car was at, but that would have been his car.
Okay. So, pretty close to the officer's vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you say, behind it? And did you see inside the black car, how many people were in the black car?
To my knowledge, it was just one person.
Okay. And that one person was the driver?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so did you see when you looked over, had the driver gotten out of the black car yet, or was the driver still in the black car?
He was just getting out his vehicle now.
And so where are you in relation to the police officer's vehicle when you see the driver get out of the black car?
I was on the closest left lane when you turn on Santa Rosa Street.
So does that mean obviously there's a small median that separates the northbound and the southbound lanes of Santa Rosa. Do you recall that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so where is your car? You're going north on Santa Rosa.
So my car is closest to the medium.
I'm going to show you a photograph that's been introduced into evidence. As State's Exhibit number 26. Looking at State's Exhibit number 26, sorry, we'll look at 26 first and then 33. So looking at State's Exhibit number 26, it shows the police car, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then you can see the median in this picture.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and is that this area right here?
Yes, ma'am. The one closest, like past this tree right here.
And so looking at both State's Exhibit 26 and then State's Exhibit number 33 that's also been introduced into evidence, you can see just the top or the fender of the police officer's car. Can you see that in this picture?
Yes, ma'am.
Exhibit 33? Okay. Using this photograph and the screen in front of you, can you show the jury approximately where you were when you saw the man get out of the black car?
Like right here on the
Can
side.
you mark on it? Does it? And then looking at State's Exhibit number 26, and I'll erase your mark so we can show the jury since it's a different picture. Okay, looking at now State's Exhibit number 26, which is just a different angle of the previous picture. Can you show the jury where the red Dodge Charger was, right? It's a Charger?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Where it was when I was turning.
Well, you can show us where you're turning, but we were where you were northbound on Santa Rosa. And you said the driver had gotten out.
So I was in between. There's not another. I can't see the other tree, but there's two trees. It was like right in between these two trees. So I had clear view of both the officer's car and then the black car as well.
So I'm going to show you again State's Exhibit number 34. This may be a better angle for you to describe where you were. And there's trees that kind of line the median. Is that fair to say, from Cesar Chavez to Nueva?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So looking at State's Exhibit number 34, can you please mark where you were on Santa Rosa when you saw the black car? You didn't see it pull up. You said it was already stationary, but you see the driver getting out.
Yes, ma'am. So right here.
And when you see that, do you keep driving or do you stop your vehicle?
So I didn't like stop. I was since I already made that turn, I was already going kind of like creeping. But that's when I had saw the police officer, the police vehicle, and then that's when I noticed the car not too far behind it. So that's when I just I was already I guess like at a slow creep when I was driving by.
Okay. And in your report, I know that it's been a long time since this has happened, several years, but in the statement you gave to the police, you said, as I stopped, I saw, and that's a statement you gave on the same day. Do you recall? But it's okay if you don't recall stopping.
Like I said, I don't think I like stopped. I know it was more of a slow creep because I knew that something was wrong since that other vehicle was too close to the officer's vehicle, and it didn't look like another police vehicle. So I knew right then and there it was something was up.
And was there something about the way the man who got out of the black vehicle, the way he was approaching the police officer's car that also got your attention?
Yes. So like as soon as he got out, I saw the weapon in his hand. So I knew that right there was something was gonna happen. So
And when you say you saw the weapon in his hand, what did the weapon look like? What type of weapon was it?
like a full-size pistol. I'm not too sure what kind of pistol it was. Maybe it was a Glock, or I know it was a black pistol.
And when you say a black pistol, do you know the difference between a semi-automatic and a revolver?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did it appear to be which one of those?
It wasn't a revolver. It was a compact pistol.
Okay. And what does that mean, a compact pistol?
A revolver usually has. How can I explain it?
Has a barrel?
Revolver usually has the
Cylinder?
cylinders, and then a compact pistol. You can't see it because it carries a magazine.
Okay.
So.
So it did not appear to be a revolver to you, or
No,
it
ma'am.
wasn't a revolver, right?
No, ma'am.
Or what you saw? Okay. And do you recall the color of the gun?
That was black.
And so where did you see the driver who had gotten out and approached the officer's car? Where did he have the gun?
Like to his side. So when he was like I'm not gonna say walking to the vehicle. When he was approaching the vehicle, he had it to his side. I don't know if it was. I think it was his left hand. From my angle, it was probably his left hand. So that's probably the best way I could describe it. Because since I'm on the left lane, and I'm looking over my left shoulder or looking to the left side of the street.
Okay. And so when you saw the man with the gun approach the officer's car, and did you see or hear anything of that?
I heard the shots. I want to say it was 2 or 3 shots. That's I mean that I heard. I know I heard gunshots. So when I had when I saw it. So that's the reason why I sped to the scene.
Do you recall or remember if the police officer's door was open?
It wasn't open. It was more like cracked open. It wasn't. It was how can I say it? It was a.
So it wasn't closed, though?
No.
Okay, the officer's door was, you said not open, so in your opinion, not open all the way, but open partially?
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
a fair way to say it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and did you see what the officer was doing in his vehicle? Or were we able to see it all into the vehicle?
I didn't see into the vehicle, but I know he was writing a ticket because.
Your Honor, speculation, lack of personal knowledge.
All right, sustained. With the next question.
Were you able to see the police officer in the vehicle?
Yes.
Anytime
Answer, Your
you
Honor,
were
you just
driving?
said you couldn't see him, Your Honor.
No, I couldn't see if he was writing.
The judge has to make a rule.
Overall, you can continue your answer.
Like I was saying, I was seeing if he was writing a ticket, but I could see the officer inside the vehicle.
Okay, you could see the officer inside the vehicle, you just couldn't see what he was doing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so when you said you testified just a few, maybe a minute or so ago, that you saw the man shoot the police officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were you able to see where the man shot the police officer?
From that angle, I just saw where he put his hand inside the vehicle, where he like opened the door and put his hand in, and then that's when I saw the shots. Well, not saw, but I heard the shots.
And when you heard the shots, what did you said you saw him and you heard him? Is that right, or did you just hear him?
No, so I saw when it was like an execution. He went in. I heard the shots, and that's when I had sped up.
And what did the man do after he shot the officer? Where did you see him go?
So the first shot, it's like he looked back. So it wasn't just it wasn't real quick, boom boom. It was he shot, then he ducked and then went back in. And then,
And are you still in that position where you are, where you have the red line on State's Exhibit number 34?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. And anything obstructing your view?
No, because as soon as that happened, I had sped up and passed the red light. I did I turned on Weber, and that's when I put up behind the car.
And you said you sped up to Nueva. Did you do a U-turn at Nueva?
Yes, I took I didn't even stop. I did a quick U-turn. I didn't even know there was a red light or green light, but I knew I took the turn.
And did you see the man's face who had shot the police officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at what point did you see his face?
When I put up right behind his car.
And what was he doing then when you
He was
pulled up?
getting into his car, or he was running back to his car.
And could you describe for the jury, please, how he ran back from the police officer's car to that black sedan you described?
So his door was already open, so he just it was like a sprint. I think he sprinted back to his car.
Okay. And when he gets in his car, you said the door is open. He gets in his car, and then what does he do?
He takes off because when he was ready getting into his car, I was ready running to the police officer's vehicle.
Okay. And so then you run to the police officer's vehicle, and what do you see?
At first, the car that was on the side, the picture that you showed, it shows that the red car looked like it wanted to leave. It wasn't like that in the beginning. That red car had turned around because that's what I saw when I entered the vehicle. Because I saw the red car leaving, and then I saw the black car take a ride into the parking lot of the police station.
And when you saw the black car take a right into the police station, it's the police station parking lot, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is it an open parking lot that you saw?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are individuals able to drive through?
Yes, ma'am. Because there's I think there's an exit going towards 35, right there
On the other side?
on the other side.
Okay, so you saw the black vehicle turn and take a right, and then what did you see the Trans Am or the Camaro Pontiac do at that time? The car that the police officer had pulled over.
So it looked like it wanted to take off, and that's when I started yelling for help.
And did you yell for help to whom?
Because when I approached the vehicle, I looked inside. I saw the officer hunched over. I saw blood on the seat. On the seat. I just saw blood. That's the best way I could explain it.
And you said the officer is hunched over on the seat. Where was he hunched over towards?
I guess I don't know what's in the middle of the police officer vehicle, but I guess the laptop or the computer, or he was hunched over that. Because when I looked in and I went inside the vehicle, and I saw just blood on his head. I saw blood on the seat, and that's when I stepped back. I told the people in the red car to call for help. I started yelling for help.
And when you say the people in the red car, you're talking about that Pontiac or the Firebird that the officer had initially pulled over.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so you're yelling for them to...
I'm just yelling for help at anyone.
Okay.
And then I got on the phone and I called 911. And then after that, I had called my dad. And then within, I say seconds, I see it was one officer came out. And he came out from the side of the building, of the headquarters building. From I guess there was a door on the side, and I see him running. Well, not running. At first, he was kind of like walking, and I'm yelling for him to come. And then that's when he looked at me, and then he gets on and is walking, and then he I guess he calls for help as well.
And then what are you doing right now, sir?
At that, I'm on the phone.
You said you called your dad?
I called my dad.
Okay.
And then at that time, I was right in front of my car the whole time.
And did the police come to you and ask if you witnessed anything?
The first officer that I saw, he didn't really ask me anything. He just went inside the vehicle and was trying to see if the officer was okay. By that time, there was people running out from the building, from the police headquarters building, and then within, I guess, seconds, all the officers were outside, and they just left me by my car. They told me just to I remember one of the officers told me that he saw the whole thing, so they just told me to stand by my car.
And so did you follow those instructions to stay by your car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. While you're standing by your car, do you see officers come to the aid of the police officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what do you see them do?
They're pulling them out. They're doing. They pulled them out. They were taking. They were. I don't know. One of the officers had I guess it's a medic kit, like a medic kit, and they were just trying to stop the bleeding, and it was right in front of me. So he was I'm not saying right on my toes, but it was right there. I saw all the officers pull him out his vehicle, put him on the floor, and then attempted first aid.
And are you present when the ambulance arrives?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what do you observe when the ambulance arrives?
So as soon as the ambulance get there, the officers that were there helping them, they were still there until the paramedics got there. And then I was still there when they had put him inside the paramedic vehicle. And then that's when I'm not too sure what officers, but they told me just to stand by, and I was just standing by my car the whole time until they took me upstairs.
And were you still outside then when the ambulance left the scene?
I think they were already coming towards me to talk to me, and I guess to see because a lot of them didn't know what I was doing right there. A lot of them were just helping out the officer.
Okay. So you were just waiting till they came to talk to you. Is that
Yes, ma'am.
a fair statement?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not too sure the first officer that I saw, but I remember he had a ball cap on, so he just told me just to not to move, just to stay right here, because I told him I saw everything, and he had just told me to wait right here, and then that's when I had stepped back because I saw everyone running towards the vehicle.
Was there a time then that, while during the time that you're standing near your vehicle, that you were asked to go upstairs and give a written statement to the police telling them what you had seen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And on that same day, is that correct? That's Sunday, November 20th of 2016?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in your statement, do you recall if the officer asked you, have you ever seen that male before?
I told him no, I haven't, but I told him I know I would be able to point him out if I saw him in front of me again.
And would you describe what the male looked like? Or what he was like?
He was a black male wearing it was a black hoodie with a ball cap. I believe he was wearing dark pants, or they were blue or black pants. It was all dark, so blue or black pants with black shoes.
And so you went upstairs and gave the statement, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you told us that the detective asked you if you would be able, if you had ever seen that black male before?
I don't know what officer or detective I had said right there when the incident happened. I told him, I was like, I saw everything.
Okay. And do you remember saying, I've never seen this male before? But you said, I think I would recognize him if I ever saw him again.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And your reason for being able to recognize him was that you were only 2 traffic lanes away when it happened. Is that, one of the things that you told, do you remember telling the detective that?
Yes, so it was, so when I saw him is when I had pulled up, when I turned around. So it was like from where I'm at to you're at, that's how close I saw him.
And then being outside as well, right? Being
Yes, ma'am.
in the sunshine. Okay. So was there a time that the following day where detectives came to your home.
Yes, it was the next morning.
So police officers came to your home, you said the next day, sometime
Yes, ma'am.
early the next day on November 21st of 2016?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that Monday, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were you shown a photo lineup at that point?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall when there were two detectives that came to your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and if you would tell us kind of briefly how the lineup was administered.
When they came in, they introduced themselves. I don't remember their names. I know it was an older gentleman with a mustache, and then another gentleman. One stayed in my living room, and then the other gentleman and me were in my kitchen.
And so the gentleman that was alone with you in the kitchen, right? Is he the one who administered the photo lineup to you?
Yes, ma'am.
And did he read the instructions to you verbatim?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not too sure what it was again, but I know he had sat me down and he told me what, like the process, what I was going to go through.
And did you understand the instructions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you sign the form indicating that you understood the instructions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And as the detective showed you the photos, did he show them to you all at once or individually?
No, ma'am. They were one by one.
One by one. So as one shown to you, and the question, do you recall the question being asked, is this the person that committed the crime? Something to that effect?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you got to a particular photo number 3, did you recognize anyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what did you do after you recognized the person?
Before he could even move his hand, I told the officer, I was like, it's him.
Okay. And tell us that again. You said before he even...
So I don't know if he had placed it like this or he had slid it, but as soon as I saw it, I told him it was him, and he didn't stop with the lineup.
Okay.
He didn't say anything. He just went on to the next one.
So at that point when you said it was him, is that when you signed the photograph?
No.
Okay. So then he didn't stop. You said that was him to photo number 3.
Mm.
And then he continued the rest of the process of showing you each picture.
I believe I even told him, I was like, it's him. And then he went on with the next one.
Okay. So continue the process. Is this the person that committed the crime? Showing picture number 4. Is this the person number 5 and number 6? Asking each question and flipping it over before he shows you the next picture.
Yes, ma'am. So I think I even told him, I was like, it's number 3. And he kept going. And I'm like, so I just waited. And every time he showed me the next one, I was like, no.
And so so you identified the person in picture number 3?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how certain were you that the person you identified in photo number 3 is the person you saw shoot the police officer on the early morning hours of November 20th of 2016?
I was very certain. Like I said, ma'am, it was from where I'm at to where you're at. That's how close I was to him.
So then you signed the identification form
Yes, ma'am.
stating that I identified the person with the number 3. Do you recall that? You checked it?
Yes, ma'am.
And then the statement of certainty, this is the person I saw shooting the officer.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what you wrote on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now the person Do you see the person that you identified in photo number 3, Otis McKane, in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would you please point to him and describe for the jury what he's wearing?
He's wearing a white shirt, a gray tie with glasses.
You said a white shirt and what color tie?
It's a blue tie with reading glasses.
Okay. And there are 4 men sitting next to me at the table next to me. If the first man next to me is number 1, and then 2, 3, 4. Where is the person you've identified as Otis McKane sitting?
4.
And for the record, you've identified the defendant, in this case, Otis McKane?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the defendant, Otis McKane, that you've identified in court today, is that the same person that you saw shoot the police officer who's later been identified as Detective Benjamin Marconi on November 20th of 2016?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how certain are you of that?
Very certain.
And the photo that you picked out in the photo lineup, photo number 3, is that a picture of Otis McKane, who you've identified in court today?
Yes, ma'am.
If I could just have a moment. Just going back to one of the things that you testified to, Mr. Flores, you testified, in your words, you said it was like an execution.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
It was like he didn't care. It was the officer never he didn't see it coming. It was like a.
I'm going to object to speculation, Your Honor.
Yes.
I can rephrase the question.
Okay.
Based on what you saw, the personal knowledge you have of what you're viewing, why is it that you describe it, or how is it that you describe it as an execution style killing, shooting?
So
Well, Your Honor, it calls for a conclusion.
Judge, under 701, he's qualified to give his personal opinion as to what he observed.
You can rephrase it.
So you testified that that was your opinion. That's what it appeared to you, right?
Yes,
so
ma'am.
based on what actions that you observed, that would make you think that it was an execution style killing.
because the officer never saw it coming. If he had, it would have been a different outcome. But it was like when he did it, it was like he had no remorse. Just open the car door.
I object, Your Honor. Non-responsive.
So I can ask you something.
You can ask the next question.
So without saying what the mental state of the shooter is, based on your observations, did it appear to you that the officer reacted in any way to the person approaching, the defendant in this case, who you've identified as Otis McKane, approaching his car?
No, the officer never saw it. Like I said from the beginning, the way he went to the car.
Your Honor. He's already asked an answer.
I'll ask a follow-up question.
Okay.
You said the way you were going to say, what do you mean by the way he approached the office, the way the defendant approached the officer to you?
Like he didn't want the officer to see him coming. I mean, he was scared. Not scared, but
Your Honor, he's speculating.
Yeah,
at
without
this
saying
point, Your Honor,
this-
lack of
yeah.
personal knowledge.
You're not allowed to testify about what's inside someone's mind because that's the defense objecting because that's speculation. So based on what you saw, based on the way the defendant approached the officer, you described it as an execution style killing. How is that you described it that way, or why is that? Yeah, what does that mean?
Like, the best way I can explain it, when he opened the door, put in, shot, like, the officer never had a fighting chance. Like, he didn't see anything, he didn't even know he was there. And, that's, like, in my words, that's a coward. Like,
Your Honor, non-responsive again.
All right, that's sustained. You can ask your next question.
Thank you, sir. I'll pass the witness.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, you're excused. Right, state and call your next witness.
State calls Officer Gus Segura.
Everybody on the jury okay? Have a seat.
Yes, sir.
I swear you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, sir.
All right. Adjust the microphone if you need to. If you could identify yourself to the jury, spell your name for the court reporter, please.
Sure. My name is Gustavo Segura. First name is Gustavo. Last name is Segura, Segura. I'm a San Antonio police officer.
All right, state.
Could you please tell us what your assignment is currently?
Yes, ma'am. I'm assigned to the Downtown Bike Patrol Unit.
And how long have you been with SAPD overall?
16 years, ma'am.
And how long have you been with Downtown Bike Patrol?
13 years.
Can you tell the jury a little bit about what you do on the daily basis being part of Bike Patrol downtown?
Yeah, so Downtown Bike Patrol encompasses all the downtown area. So we mainly service the central business district. So we're in charge of protecting and serving the downtown community as well as local residents, tourists, anyone that comes down and visits San Antonio.
And how do you personally go about patrolling the area?
So I'm on a bicycle. I ride a bicycle down throughout the downtown area.
And back on November 20th of 2016, were you on duty with Bike Patrol?
Yes, ma'am.
And what were you tasked with doing that day?
So that day I was working a special assignment. So 2 officers would come in earlier than our regular duty hours are 7:30 to 5:30. But at the time there was 2 officers that were tasked coming in earlier that morning. That shift started at 6 o'clock that day.
And who were those officers?
Ben Marconi and myself.
And would y'all often work together?
Yes, ma'am. We worked this assignment. It was on Sunday. We worked this assignment together for about a year and a half.
And so every Sunday, was it every Sunday morning?
The assignment's every day, but we would typically work it on our days off. And so him and I both had Sundays off, so we were consistently working it on Sundays, him and I.
What time would you meet up in the morning and start your shift?
Shortly before 6 o'clock, our shift started at 6, so we would meet at the Bike Patrol office and leave from there.
And specifically on November 20th, 2016, did you meet up with Ben Marconi at the Bike Patrol office to start your day?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And did y'all go through roll call together?
No, so for this special assignment, it starts before everyone else starts, so there's no standard roll call like we would typically have. We just kind of get together. We sign onto the computer, just like every other patrolman does, and that's kind of how we start our shift off.
And what type of uniform are you wearing when you do this shift?
I'm wearing a Bike Patrol uniform. Officers that work this assignment that are bike certified, would be wearing the bike patrol uniform, and officers that are working this assignment that are not bike certified would wear their standard patrol uniform.
And when they're, like, Benjamin Marconi, was he in his standard patrol uniform?
Yes, ma'am.
And was he going to do his patrol on a bike or in a car?
In a vehicle, ma'am.
And do you just leave directly from the bike office, and then he would go get in the car and leave from wherever the car is?
Right, so the vehicles are located at our office. It's the parking garage right above the bike patrol office. So standard, we would both get in a patrol vehicle for the first 2 hours. I would then transition into the bike after 8 o'clock, and officers like Ben Marconi, who was not bike certified, would remain in the vehicle the remainder of the shift.
Did you know Benjamin Marconi outside of these shifts?
No, ma'am.
You had not worked with him
No, ma'am.
in any other capacity?
Correct. I mean, I knew who he was when he was working on West Patrol. I was working Central, so our service areas did neighbor each other. And I knew him by passing, but I wasn't, before I started working with him, I wouldn't know a whole lot about him before that.
Did you have breakfast with him that morning?
I did not.
Did you know who you went to have breakfast with?
Yes, he went to go have breakfast with Sergeant Walker.
On some Sunday mornings, would y'all have breakfast together?
No, so we would break up since we were both working the same assignment. It was kind of standard that one of us would eat breakfast and then we'd take turns. So Ben Marconi would always go eat with Sergeant Walker. I typically went to go eat with some of my regular coworkers from Bike Patrol.
And as that morning of November 20th, 2016 proceeded, was it a normal morning for yourself, for everyone else on patrol? Was anything happening early in the day?
No, it was very, very, very standard. Typically Sunday mornings are typically quiet in the downtown area. There was nothing out of the ordinary whatsoever.
And then at some point, around 11:38, 11:39 in the morning, did an e-tone go out to all police officers?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you tell me a little bit about what an e-tone is and what is your response when you hear one?
Yes, ma'am. So an E-tone is short for emergency tone. It's a tone that we have on our radio and also in the vehicle. We as officers could push that E-tone button to alert anyone on that radio channel, especially the dispatcher, that there's an emergency going on. The E-tone also, it's an audible tone that comes out over the radio, so it alerts everybody, hey, something's going on. At this particular time, the E-tone was not pressed by an officer. It was actually initiated by the dispatcher. So the E-tone is a loud audible sound. It comes all over the radio. We're all kind of alerting just to see what's going on. And the dispatcher indicated that there was an officer down in front of headquarters.
And what did you do when you heard that E-tone?
I immediately started pedaling my way over there. I was on a bicycle at the time. I remember distinctly I was on Commerce and St. Mary's, so I'm about 6 blocks away from headquarters.
And were you equipped with a body-worn camera?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that a standard part of your uniform?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you start it recording?
It's a double tap on the center button of the body camera. You double tap it and it initiates the camera. Standard, whenever you push it, it's constantly on like a standby mode. But the moment you hit record, it goes back 30 seconds of video with no audio. It starts recording audio the moment you hit record.
And did you in fact hit it when you were responding to the E-tone?
Yes, ma'am.
And about how long did it take you to get to police headquarters?
It seemed like an eternity at the time. There was information coming on over the radio, and I was trying to make my way there as fast as possible. I would assume maybe 1.5 to 2 minutes, possibly.
And as you're proceeding over there, were you aware of which officer had been shot?
Absolutely not.
And what did you encounter when you arrived at police headquarters?
When I arrived, there was several patrol cars parked away from the crime scene. I noticed that there was a patrol vehicle up against the southeast corner of the headquarters. I did see that there was an officer on the ground. There was a civilian. There was 2 SWAT officers, and there was a park police officer. that were kneeling over the officer that was down.
And what were they trying to do?
They were trying to save his life. At that moment, it had been put out over the radio that the officer had been shot. I have a self-medical kit in my bike bag, so my first reaction was, let me see what I have in my bike bag to be able to assist. I know one of the officers that was there is the TAC medic himself, so I pulled my TAC medic,
Which officer?
Frank Reese.
Okay. And so you pulled your stuff out of your...
I pulled myself out and said, hey, what can you use? What do you need? Just trying to be of any kind of assistance. There was already 8 hands, 4 bodies on the officer, so I just kind of started looking for some work.
Was EMS there when you arrived?
No, ma'am.
Did you get a good look at Officer, well, you didn't know it was Officer Marconi at the time, but did you get a good look at the officer that was on the ground?
No, he had, I believe it was like a t-shirt that was wrapped around his head. When I asked if there was anything that they needed from my medical kit, I remember Frank Reese looking at me and saying that it's a headshot wound, so there's nothing that I had that would be beneficial. He's like, we just need to apply pressure.
And what did you proceed to do?
I started looking around to see what in the area there was for me to do. I looked to my left and I saw a Camaro that was parked, I don't know, maybe about 20 yards away from us along the driveway. So I walked over to see if that vehicle was involved. Did not know what was going on. I mean, I had zero information as to if the suspect was still there or any kind of information at the time. So.
Okay, and then how did you continue through the scene at that point?
So I spoke briefly to the occupants in the vehicle. There was some kids. There was some teenagers and some younger kids, and I just kind of briefly asked them if they had seen anything, what they had seen, if they heard anything. I then quickly realized that I believe the parents, there was 2 adults that were standing outside the vehicle with another officer. That officer told me, hey, I got the parents, I got the parents.
Response?
Yeah, it's not the truth of the matter, sir.
Investigatory?
Yes.
All right, overruled.
Continue.
So I noticed there was 2 individuals outside the vehicle. The officer that was standing with them said, hey, I got the parents, or I have them. So I just proceeded to do more work and looking around to see what else I could do. I was instructed by one of the sergeants on scene to start spreading out some patrol tape for the crime scene tape.
And did you in fact do that?
Yes, ma'am.
And about how long did you stay at the scene?
I believe I was there for at least an hour, hour and a half or so.
And did you place crime scene tape all around headquarters?
So I initially started spreading the tape or surrounding the initial crime scene to protect that environment. And then I was asked to go to the back of headquarters. I guess we later found out, throughout that time, we found out that the vehicle had fled through the parking lot of the south parking lot of the headquarters. So it was important that we preserve that also. So I went to the back with my bicycle and started putting crime scene tape on the back end of the west end of the property.
And as you said, it was just unfolding when you got there. You were trying to gather information, secure the scene, keep it protected from, being messed with by anyone, to preserve it for investigation. Was that your task that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you perform any other tasks that morning?
Besides notifying my supervisors once I found out that it was, in fact, Ben Marconi.
And about what point in the morning did you find out it was Benjamin Marconi?
I found out shortly after putting on the crime scene tape. As I was doing that, I know EMS was already on scene. I remember another officer that was on scene asked me if I knew who the officer was, and at the time, none of us knew who it was. As they were putting him into the EMS unit, Officer Ochoa went over and kind of lifted up his shirt or the towel that he had over to expose his badge. She was on his left side, exposed his badge, and saw that what his badge number was. She turned around and told me his badge number. At the time, it did not click to me that it was Ben's badge number. She asked me if I knew who it was, and I said no. So she went to her car to go run it on the MDT to see who that badge number belonged to. I proceeded to do the crime scene tape, and then shortly after that, Francis Ochoa, the officer Ochoa, came back and told me it was Ben. And that's when I got on the phone and called my supervisor.
And who was your supervisor that you called?
Sergeant Curtis Walker.
And so during all this time, was your body-worn camera in fact recording?
It was recording, yes, ma'am.
And so what do you do when you want to preserve that recording to keep for an investigation? How do you go about preserving it, downloading and uploading it? What do you have to do?
Sure. So there's docking stations at all the substations, including the bike patrol station. So once we're done, typically at the end of our duties day is whenever we dock it, it automatically goes into the cloud. It's electronically sent up and it's saved that way. For this particular situation, the moment I got back to the bike patrol office, I was instructed by my supervisor to immediately download it, not wait till the end of my duty date. So that way that video was immediately preserved.
And so that is what you did when you were finished at the scene. Did you ride back to the bike office?
Yes, ma'am. After securing the backside of the property, I was asked by a sergeant to go inside headquarters building and to kind of watch over the we call it the fishbowl, which is the area where people come in and the reception area. It's a big glass, a lot of glass, so we call it the fishbowl. I was asked to go in there and kind of preserve that until evidence came over and took photos of it. I was relieved by my duties by another officer before that actually took place.
So when you say the fishbowl, you mean inside of police headquarters?
Yes, ma'am. Inside the atrium, the lobby area.
My approach to witness, please turn around.
Yes.
Right, I'm going to show you what is marked State's Exhibits 41 and 42. Do you recognize these?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you recognize them?
These are videos of my body-worn camera that I initialed back in February 12th, 2020, and also June 30th of 2021.
Okay, and did you watch them in their entirety?
Yes, ma'am.
And did these capture all the events you just described to the jury
Yes, ma'am.
as you experienced that day?
Yes, ma'am.
They haven't been changed or altered from what you experienced
Correct.
that day? All right. At this time, State would offer State's Exhibit 41 and 42 into evidence.
Just for the record, there's no audio on these, correct?
No, there's only
All right, please,
Please be seated.
It may be best for, if we play it right now, that we could come to a point in it where we could both agree that at that point, we'll agree to cut off the audio, that it's not either excited utterance or presence of suppression that's occurring, that, like where he's doing the crime scene around the back or going into the fishbowl, then at that point, the audio is probably hearsay. It's irrelevant and it's probably hearsay, would be my,
Well, I don't want to tell everybody about how the officers, I'm sure the officer can find all the, when he got the call, he was in Carl versus St. Mary's. And I think that, the rest of that becomes connected to the case. But like in driver, right, I was traveling around San Antonio.
That's not where it starts. It
It
starts
starts
with him proceeding
There may
to
be
the
stuff
scene.
that, you know, want to.
It starts with him proceeding to the scene as he just described to the jury.
I thought you said it was the shift.
No, I mean after all of the things he did after
Oh,
arriving on
that's,
the
that,
scene.
we agree, that would all be, admissible.
With audio?
No, not with audio.
Okay, well then,
so it begins, just so we're clear, it begins when the, he gets the call. And it goes back, so the E-tone comes out and then it goes back 30 seconds. Because that's how the body cameras work. They go back 30
Well,
seconds.
nothing's happening for 30 seconds.
No, he's just writing. So there's nothing significant there, but it gets the E-tone, and then from there it goes until verbatim.
Okay,
Yeah, but
what's the entire shift?
no.
No.
Okay.
Oh, it's about an hour, you say.
But we do need to watch it, I mean, with y'all,
Yeah.
to see which parts you're objecting to
Okay.
in terms of the audio.
Oh. Well, what does the court want to do?
Oh, y'all can figure that out.
Well, I'm saying is, they want to offer this now, that we need to do this now, and it's 4:30. I don't know what you want to do with your jury, that's all I'm saying.
I'll leave the jury out there for a bit. Let's see how well y'all can.
You want to play it?
This is the one, that's the really short one.
You want to play? Let's play the
Yeah,
hearing.
yeah.
Want to do it here, you want to try to do it.
You want to go with this? You want to go?
Well, that way, it's not.
And you can sit down for now. So if you, off the record now.
Thank you.